Feels good to be back on campus. What's up guys, Wanchai here. If this is your first time, welcome. I like making videos about college, tech, and life. This year will actually be my 5th year at BYU studying information systems. Today I wanted to just give a little bit of insight, share a couple things that have really helped me get ahead, not only in just college, but life as well. Before I hop into it, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button if you want to see more content like this in the future. I'm not an academic advisor at any level. This is purely just from my experience, anything that has helped me out personally. Some of these tips are going to be more BYU focused, but I hope you can find a way to apply it to whatever your situation is. First off, no one knows 100% what they're going to major in. And for those of you that choose to serve a mission or plan to, you're going to grow and change in a lot of different ways. So what you're interested in also might change. Tip number 1. Don't be afraid to explore classes and majors outside of your current interests. After a year in CS, I decided it wasn't for me and ended up pursuing a degree in information systems. As much as I liked programming, my real passion was actually connecting people through technology. So I didn't find that out until after my first summer of door-to-door sales, where that put me in a lot of situations to interact with people, help them out. It wasn't tech focused, but it did help me get out there and learn how to interact with people more. I also had a friend who recommended me to try out a beginner's information systems course. I know a lot of people that stuck with the major they originally chose and found out they don't enjoy it as much as they thought they would, but decided to stick with it anyway because they were too invested, which I totally get. You put in a lot of effort and don't want it to go to waste. I had the exact same thoughts, but after doing sales, I was a little bit more open to exploring other things, and I realized that just like the rest of life, college is way more fun if you actually enjoy it. Do what you gotta do to figure that out for yourself. Make the appropriate decision after you've done some research. On the other hand, if you've already found what you're passionate about, keep it up. But if you do have some extra room in your schedule, I highly recommend taking other classes within other majors or just different things you haven't considered before. It never hurts to gain more knowledge, and more often than not, it'll actually help you somewhere later down the road. One good example is when I took introductory classes for finance, accounting, and marketing. Even though they were prereqs for the IS major, I probably would have taken them anyway since I have a lot of friends in those areas. The skills I learned in those classes ended up helping me when it came to building my own business, marketing myself, even talking to a camera. In short, think of the first 2 years as an opportunity to find your passion if you haven't already, as well as get some G's out of the way. Don't let the fear of taking an L in the short term set up the rest of your career life.
Need to take a break, gotta find our own ways, girl. At the tip of the iceberg, a love and devotion, you still rock my world. No exit to this maze.
With the cost of college going up and jobs seemingly to prefer experience over degrees, college can feel irrelevant. As someone who doesn't like school, I've had those exact same thoughts. I'm sure you've heard of stories or might even know someone who graduated but still struggling to get interviews or even a job. That's where tip 2 comes in. You're paying for connections, not a piece of paper. I'm not saying that networking is the only way to get a job. Of course, skills, experience, and your desire to work is important too. However, networking is the door to opportunity. You can't expect to land a job if you don't put yourself out there. Frankly, going to class and just making friends isn't enough. Instead, focus on developing meaningful relationships with your professors, your colleagues, anyone else that you might come in contact with. Work on showcasing what you know and what you can do with what you know, as well as what you're passionate about. Then go to events, especially career fairs, and then talk about it. The more people know about you as well as what you're passionate about, the higher chance that they're going to remember you, which will help increase your chance of landing internships, interviews, and later on a job. I'm not saying this to brag or anything, but BYU is actually among the top 15 schools for best value. I think the reason why is because a lot of professors and colleagues have tons of connections that can help accelerate your career path. The best part of it is that you're paying a fraction of what those other top 10 schools are paying. So take advantage of it. Of course, there's a right and a wrong way to network. I'm not going to go into the details of it in this video, but if you want to learn more about networking, I highly recommend you read the book How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. The key takeaways from the book is to be genuine and make others feel important. Learning how to do that is going to open way more doors than getting a 4.0 GPA. Be sure to return the favor as well, as you could end up changing their life. College is arguably one of the busiest times in your life. Balancing your time between school, work, and a social life is pretty tough. Usually what ends up happening is one of these categories gets neglected from time to time. Tip number 3, create a system to manage your time. There's a ton of different ways to do this, but the key principle here is to be intentional about your time. Studying for an exam doesn't mean you have to miss out on time with friends. And if you do it right, it'll actually help you a lot more than you think, because let's face it, we all need a break. One example of a system actually stems back all the way to my freshman year. What I did was pretty simple. Every Sunday, I'd sit down and create an overview of my week. I'd create blocks for class, homework, band, and work. If I made specific plans with friends and I already had a time, I'd include that as well. Otherwise, any time left over was just to fill in the gaps. Now I use Google Calendar, which is really helpful because I can view it on all of my devices. I don't have to worry if I forget my planner at home. Of course, things don't always go according to your plan, and sometimes you might deviate a little bit. With BYU, I think it can be unnecessarily difficult at times. Sometimes assignments take longer than usual, or you butcher a test that you thought you were going to ace, and you end up having to make up for it, which can throw you off your groove. And when this happens, don't panic. Don't throw away the rest of your plan for the day or for the week, because the reality is, if you have most of your week planned, it becomes way easier to move things around, make adjustments. Whatever happens, remember that you don't have to be perfect at executing your plan for the week. What matters is that you're doing your best and you actually know what's going on. I found that I usually complete most of my tasks, if not all of them, pretty early on in the week and have some time left over if I actually take the time to be intentional about how I spend my time. You can use my system as a starting point, but feel free to do what works best for you and your situation.
These nights we've been fighting, sick of pretending that we'll see the light of dawn. Look at me, look at you, while you cross the line, now time out. Look at this, look what we've become. Oh baby, look at me, look at you, done playing games, time for changing.
Okay, so looks like the printer didn't work. I hit the print button, but nothing happened. And I can't get my money back for that, so we're gonna go find another printer.
This rate talk is meaningless, cause we fragile like candles in a strong wind. Tell me baby, can I even call you that? The way we clashed, damn, baby, I just wanna see you go. Tyrant, no more 힘들어, 너도 알잖아.
This is actually the business building, the Tanner building. I'm gonna be here for most of my classes this semester. So if you're like me and you don't like school, you want to get it done as fast as you can. I know a few people that max out their credits every semester or take spring and summer classes just to be done faster. Most of the time they were stressed and couldn't make time for other areas of their life, including friends. BYU can also feel pretty competitive, with a lot of people focusing on GPA, grades, and pretty much everyone here is at the top of their class at their previous school. And I think for both of these situations, the focus is mostly on the end result rather than the process. I can't speak for everyone, but if I'm going to invest a lot of my time, efforts, as well as my money into college, I'd rather get the most that I can out of it. Introducing tip number 4. Remember the bigger picture. This mindset shift ties in everything that I've talked about so far. As much as you want to, rushing your college experience doesn't leave much time for friends, for making connections, as well as exploring new things. Here's the truth. It won't matter how fast you graduate if you can't remember it. Looking back, the friends that I've made so far have made positive impacts in my life. I'd consider many of them lifelong close friends. I've had so many lasting memories, experiences, and new opportunities with them. All of this was possible because I was intentional about my time here. I guess what I'm trying to say here is don't stress too much about when and how you graduate. Just do your thing and focus on making meaningful memories. Everything else will be taken care of. Tip number 5, learn how to manage your finances. I'm no financial advisor, but I do know that college won't help you build credit, which you'll need later on to either buy a car, home, any other major financial decision in your life. Unless you had help from your parents or others growing up, you're most likely going to have to start at ground zero when it comes to building credit. The easiest thing that you can do is sign up for a basic credit card like Discover, which has student or college benefits such as cashback or even rewards for good grades. Here's the thing, don't go and max it out right away. First, make sure you learn your credit limits. Be smart and intentional with your spending by using it to buy things that you can already afford. And by that, I mean you already have the cash on hand if needed to pay it off immediately. Or if you can't do that, then at least have a plan to pay it off, preferably within the next 6 months max. If you have the room for it, I highly recommend taking some kind of personal finance or money management course that your university offers. For me, it ended up being Finance 201. Another option is to read Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. He can teach you way more about finance than I ever could. And in no way am I saying to focus on getting rich in college, but starting this process of money management earlier on is going to help you build habits that you'll use the rest of your life. So take some time to learn about it. You'll thank yourself later.
밤새 이 분위기는 참 불편해 거친 우리 말투 이제 그만해도 돼 Look at me, look at you
Alright, so it's too hot outside, so I'm going to film in here. Here's a bonus tip. Be spiritual. This mostly applies to people at BYU or other church-sponsored schools, but I'm sure you can find a way to relate somehow. No secret that BYU is a private university affiliated with the LDS Church. The environment here is different in the sense that the focus is more on helping you come closer to Christ so that you can enter to learn, go forth to serve. No matter where you're at, you'll be faced with life-changing decisions. My dad taught me to always involve the Lord and communicate with him when it comes to anything in my life. And if you aren't religious or if you're part of another faith, that's completely fine. I'm sure anyone can benefit from deep pondering and reflecting and reevaluating their life. So at the end of the day, taking care of your physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being is going to help give you more clarity and allow you to focus more on the things that you want. To sum it up, make the most out of your college experience, have fun with it, but also know when and how to get things done effectively and how to be intentional. I'm more than happy to answer any questions. Drop a comment below. That's all I have for now, and I'll see you guys in the next one.